Hi, welcome to another video. Now, I got asked by someone to do a video on vehicles and kind of the British standard, what it says that you need to have in that. So this video is just going to be going through vehicles, making sure you know what the British standards are for vehicles in terms of the dog, cages, equipment, and also the car itself. Right, so people going through their NASDU as well as their SIA, so someone's asked me if I can do some NASDU questions as well. So for this video I'm going to do a NASDU question and then I'll probably interchange it between the two. So today's NASDU question is, we are governed by the Guard Dog Act. Can you tell me which year the Guard Dog Act was founded or formed? Right, so vehicles. Now by the British standard it says vehicles. Dogs should only be transported in vehicles which afford adequate protection against escape or injury to the dog, handler and or other person. The dog should be in an area separated to the driver. So obviously in my car he's in the boot and obviously you've got the cage, the seats before he gets to that. That's obviously to stop the dog interfering with the driver during transport. The general equipment listed in 7.1 and the relevant safety equipment listed in 7.2, 7.3 should be either carried by the handler or contained within the vehicle. So 7.1 is general equipment, so handlers should be issued with the following equipment: suitable collar with a strong welded D-clip at the end or slip collar with ID of the dog owner. So that's obviously his collar, the tag that tells people where he lives, phone number possibly to get hold of the person. Note 1, the collar needs to be of an appropriate strength, construction and design so as to control the dog without causing harm. Note 2, attention is drawn to the Control of Dogs Act 1992, Local Bylaws and Road Traffic Act 1988. Also, you should have a strong lead with a hand loop, which is basically lead with hand loop. Food and water bowls. So I have his water bowl, which I have a travel one, which basically is the same as a bowl, but at the top it kind of inverts inwards so that the water can't splash out the top. Now I don't really have it for when we're travelling, but if I needed to then I could. And then I have a food bowl in there with a spare meal as well, as I've said in other videos. Grooming equipment and a muzzle. So you know that's the stuff that you need in there. Strong lead with hand loop, food and water bowls, grooming equipment and muzzle. That's 7.1. You'd also need in there safety equipment. So suitable catching equipment, i.e. net, pole or cage. So if your dog escapes you need to be able to get him, you need to be able to catch him. Now this is where good recall comes in, and obviously your relationship with your dog would come in handy so that you would have that stuff. So gauntlets for protection of lower arm and hands. Now I would assume that would mean for you to be able to handle the dog if it's aggressive. Now I do have a sleeve in here for training purposes, so I could use that if he was being aggressive. No, if he was being aggressive then I could use that in order for him to bite that whilst I get hold of him, I assume. A fire extinguisher of a suitable type. I don't actually have a fire extinguisher, so that's something I'll need to look into. What one I would need, I would assume it would be a fire extinguisher to put your car out if your car caught fire, the engine etc. So I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I'd assume it would be a fire extinguisher for the car. A canine first aid kit and a general first aid kit. So I have one here. This is a general first aid kit, but it's got some stuff in here for the dog as well. Some extra bandages, some Hibby scrub to clean any cuts that he might get. And it says items C, D and E should be readily available to the handler at this assignment. So that's fire extinguisher, canine first aid kit and general first aid kit. So obviously that's easy to get. I just need to look into this fire extinguisher and get one that is suitable. So it also says vehicles should be fitted with a means to provide adequate ventilation and airflow at all times, regardless whether the vehicle is moving or stationary, and should provide sufficient shade from direct sunlight and protection from extremes of temperature and humidity. So obviously I've got the front here. If it was a nice hot day and I was stationary, I would have the the boot up. It will give some good ventilation here. There are some vents through the back and from the sides as well to make sure it gets around. If I'm moving, windows are down, there's air whipping through the back of the car. In terms of shade, now that would be me parking my car somewhere where the car is in the shade. Alternatively, what I would do is I would park my car with the windscreen facing the sun, so then obviously the rest of the car would be put into shade, and then obviously with this open you get your ventilation, the dog won't get hot, he's in the shade because the sun is obviously coming this direction and can't get through the roof to the dog. Right, cages. So the size of the dog should be taken into account when being placed in the vehicle. Cages within similar confinement, the dog should be able to stand up, turn around and lay down in comfort. So what you're looking for in that is that the dog should be able to get in, should be able to stand up in the cage, should be able to spin around in it and lay down in comfort. Now you will probably need to measure your dog and find out how long he is when he lays down, how high he is when he stands up, and make sure that you've got that room in the cage in order to do that. Vehicles should be fitted with suitable cages or other similar confinement to prevent escape. Cages should be non-slip flooring which may be fitted or removable and should be constructed of material that will not cause harm, discomfort or injury to the dog. So this is a trans canine. If a lot of people have said if you're going to get a cage, have a look at trans canine. They aren't the cheapest, but they are one of the leading cages for this. And in there it says that you need to have a non-slip floor. So with trans canine cages, you get like a non-slip floor that will go into the floor. Obviously it keeps the dog safe, stops the dog from skidding around, things like that. So it also says consideration should be given to the design and location of the cage to reduce noise levels experienced by a driver or handler. So that is obviously don't have the dog right next to you in a cage where the music's blaring, there's lots of activity going on. Obviously I've got mine in the boot, so he's a long way away from me, so anything that I do or anything I'm listening to doesn't affect him. He can lay there and listen out for things going on, or he can relax and have a sleep if he wants to. There's nothing that's going to be stopping him from being able to relax or doing what it is he wants to do. It says note, guidance on the construction of cages can be found on the IATA, International Air Transport Association document, Live Animals Regulations, LAR. So also by British standard, the cage has to have a second means of escape, which is like an emergency escape. Now, if I had a Ford Transit and I had a side door, that would be the secondary escape, but you'd have to make sure that there's obviously a door on the cage that allows the dog to escape out of there. With trans canine, I've got a flap on the back, which is here. And what I will do is I'll quickly just show you how I would do it. It just involves me folding the back seats down, opening the cage and getting it out. So my second means of escape is for the dog through the back there and out through the side doors, or out through the driver's door if need be. This is obviously for if there's a crash and the boot's crumpled and you can't get the dog out of the boot, then obviously he can escape through there. I think unofficially it might be for driver safety as well, so if I'm in the car and I've got the doors locked and then I'm attacked or someone's stopping me from being able to get to the dog, I can jump in the back, flip the seats down, and then the dog's with me. So not necessarily to attack the other person, but if they was to get into my car, they obviously then have to deal with the dog. Warning signs. Warning signs should be displayed on all cage exits stating that the dog might be on board. Note, suggested wordage should be security dogs. In case of emergency, seek expert assistance, /call, insert contact number. Vehicles should also display an external warning signs except in exceptional operational circumstances. So in terms of warning signs, I have, because I've explained this before, because I use my family car, I don't need them on the weekends when we go down to Brighton Beach or anything like that. So I have two magnetic dog warning signs, so they will go probably the side of the car or on the back of the car, each side of the number plate. And then depending on where I put the other ones, I do have a canine, I do have a dog unit sign that goes as well. Normally if my triangle ones are on the back of the car by the boot, this would be on the bonnet of my car. I do it on where people are going to see my car. No. If I have them on the side of the car, I'll probably put this across the back around the number plate kind of area, because you do have to have it on obviously the exits of the dog. So for me the exit is the boot mainly, but then also I do have the emergency exits which are the side, so I do kind of have to have them on the side so that people understand where the exit is for the dog. So that is the British standard for vehicles. Now I've got a Vauxhall Antara, which I say I'm using the family car. I've got a Vauxhall Antara. Most ones that people use will be sort of transits. People use Vivaros. They're for normally if you've got multi-dogs. Now if you've got a single dog or maybe only two dogs, you could have something like a Ford Transit Connect, which is obviously just a smaller one. A lot of people use estate cars with long boots in order to do this. Estate vans would obviously be fine as well. In terms of cages, you can get a cage like mine, which is like a trans canine one. They're around about £600 for them ones. You can get bigger ones for bigger vehicles obviously. If you get something like a Vivaro or a Transit, you can actually get specially made cages that are built in. As far as I'm aware, they're normally about £1,000 to £2,000 depending on how many you get, etc. Got a thief. But there are Facebook groups where you can buy vehicles, second-hand vehicles. Sometimes you can get a second-hand police vehicle. There are also groups on Facebook, if you go on there, that you can buy and sell cages. I know my trainer's quite active in that kind of stuff, that he tells us if there's cages going. I believe there was a Vivaro second-hand cage going the other day that's normally £1,200, but they was doing it for 170. No, he was doing it for 170, but you would have to travel there, dismantle it yourself, take it away, and obviously put it in yourself as well. So that's the end of the video. Let me know down in the comments below if you think I've missed anything or if there's any more information, because I might miss stuff, and if you put it down in the comments, then obviously people that read the comments can see it as well. So it's not just me, it's obviously other dog handlers that put stuff out there, and we can all try and learn this stuff together. The answer to my question, we are governed by the Guard Dogs Act. That is 1975. So if you're doing your NASDO, make sure you keep that in your mind. It's an important date. So I hope you like this video. I hope you got something out of it. Like I say, vehicles, there are standards that you have to adhere to. You can't just go around in your little box car with a dog cramped up in the back of a little boot. There are standards for cages, obviously equipment, things like that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Make sure you keep your comments down below. Alright, cheers for watching. Bye.